A staple I do in all interviews in order to start things off is to ask that you elaborate a bit about your work and this particular role for those not familiar with it.
Okay, so my name is Devora Wilde. I'm an actor. I have done many things in my time being an actor: TV, film, theatre, and most recently voiceovers. So this particular role, it's Lae'zel in Baldur's Gate 3, a world completely new to me, maybe new to some people listening and watching this as well. But she is a very tough Githyanki warrior, and she is she's kind of, well, how should I put it? Difficult at the beginning, but very rewarding once you get to know her. Let's put it that way.
In Baldur's Gate 3, you provide the performance for Lae'zel, as you've just mentioned. Could you tell us a bit about the situation that the character first finds herself within?
Well, the character is the first companion character that you meet on board this sort of nautiloid ship that is crashing essentially, and in quite a lot of danger. She is also the first. Well, when the opening of the game starts, you see, the whole premise of the game set up. They've been infected with these tadpoles, and you see her, the first one, actually getting infected and getting the tadpole put in her eye by the mind flayer. So she finds herself in a pretty stressful situation straight out the gate, I would say.
When preparing to perform as Lae'zel, were you given any initial direction in regards to the character, just in terms of an example of prep work to get into the mindset of this particular performance?
No, I was given a small character description. I didn't, like I said, I didn't know much about the world. I didn't know much about the Githyanki at all. So, which actually was quite useful to me because I didn't come in with any preconceived notions of what they were like. I've since been told that Githyanki are not very, they're like evil, but I don't see it like that personally. And also, it's good that I didn't have that notion before I went in, because otherwise I would have been like, oh, I'm playing an evil character. And I've said this before in other interviews, but I don't think there is I don't think you can call them evil. I don't think you can certainly not call Lae'zel evil. So yeah, so the prep work, I guess, was mostly my own. I kind of went with the language first of all, because this part, and indeed the whole game, is so incredibly well written that, to be honest, when you have such an incredible script, it makes our job very easy. And then once I got into the on set, I guess you could call it on set. We had a great team of directors, movement directors, audio engineers, performance capture engineers, and it was kind of a group effort from then on. We'd do the lines, then maybe we'd try the line a different way, try the movement a different way, and it kind of just proceeded from there. And when you've been doing it so many years, you start to sort of you can slip into the character very easily and very quickly.
Which kind of leads really nicely into my next question. So, from what I've read, you provide not only the voice but also the motion capture. Could you go over that
Correct.
process involved in kind of bringing this character to life physically and through voice?
Yeah, so this is my first voice and motion capture job. So it was completely new to me. Obviously, I come from like more of a traditional acting background, but actually, this isn't so different, because acting is using your whole instrument, your voice, your body, your facial expressions, your eyes, whatever. And this is pretty much the same, with the exception that people can't see your face, but you're still emoting through your face, through your eyes, through your gestures. And I think the cinematics team that we had actually took our facial reactions and things that we were doing with our faces and used it as reference to how the character would react. And that's why a lot of people have been saying how realistic Lae'zel is, how expressive her eyes are, and that's thanks in large part to our cinematics team, but also the fact that they used us to really capture that full performance. So yeah, I think a lot of people think that performance capture is very technical, and it can be. I mean, you're kind of rooted to the spot. You're not really allowed a lot of movement. But once you get used to that, really the sky's the limit. So I didn't really see it as separate to just doing a regular performance, you know?
When performing this role, were there any particular lines or moments that really stuck out to you, whether that's a behind the scenes moment or just from the dialogue?
Um, any like classic Lae'zel insults are just brilliant because I just think she has such cutting lines and such like lines delivered with such like deadpan dry humor, and because she doesn't know, she doesn't come from this world, so she yeah, just some of her stuff, like, you know, teethlings and uh just, you know, interacting with things in this world that other characters see as normal but she doesn't, I think is brilliant. And then there is a scene towards kind of the end of her romance where without giving too much away, they're up on a roof with the player character watching the sunrise. And that was one of my favorite scenes to record because it's just a completely different side to the character. So people who have got there will know what I mean. But that was really just exquisite writing by Kevin Van Ord, who is Lae'zel's lead writer. And it was a real treat for me.
There's certainly a deeper level of role playing and choice behind Baldur's Gate 3. What are your thoughts on the many layers to what choices players could pick and the response you would be performing in reaction to player driven decisions?
Um, I mean, look, I don't have any experience with this kind of game. So, and I've only recently, as of, you know, of until a month ago, I started playing it. So for me, it's like a whole new world, and it's amazing because I've never experienced a game like this before. I mean, I don't really play games. I played games when I was younger, but I played stuff like The Sims. So now to have, I mean, The Sims is very choice based, I suppose you could say, but now to have something where literally it feels like you could do anything. The world is so vast and so open, and you just that really your imagination is the limit. And that's still taking me a while to get out of my own like box and be like, okay, well, why don't I just do this now and this now? And I think I'll get into it as the more I play the game, but I think that's such a an amazing way to approach a game. And I think that's why so many people have connected with the characters, because they are part of their story. As for me, recording the different choices, I mean, I loved it. I loved it because in a traditional narrative setup, and by that I mean TV or film, you have your one linear narrative and your one outcome, and the whole story is kind of gearing up towards that, and that's the story you're telling. You're all telling that one story. With this game, you're telling lots of different stories, many different endings, many different choices, many different interactions. So it's very cool to be able to play out all those different things. It's like you know, people believe in the concept of sort of parallel universes, and all of these outcomes are happening at the same time, and it's kind of playing that out, which is pretty cool and very incredible as an actor to get to play that whole range of things and emotions.
Yes, it certainly gives you a lot of options, such
It
as
does.
the option for romance with the character, which you kind of briefly went over. What was it like to
Yeah,
bring that connection to the player to life?
really cool. Again, I don't think I had done another video game that had these kinds of, and obviously Baldur's Gate 3 is quite romance heavy, and you can get very involved with the character and you can get very intimate with the character. And but what I loved about the way that the romance was handled by Baldur's Gate 3 is that it was specifically written to towards to gear towards each character. So for Lae'zel, again, without giving too much away, but it is written in such a Lae'zel specific way that you feel almost gratified that you've earned Lae'zel's intimacy. I think that's because you have to earn that through getting to know her and through gaining her approval, but it's specific to her. It would be different for Shadowheart, it'd be different for Astarion, whatever. And I think that's what I really loved about the romance. It wasn't just romance for the sake of romance, sex for the sake of sex, whatever. It's genuinely getting intimate with the character and getting to know them and building that relationship and building that trust with them. And if you don't build that relationship and that trust, then it kind of disappears and the character might not be very happy. So it was really interesting for me, and I enjoyed doing those lines a lot.
Which kind of brings me to a on the spot kind of question, since you did say you've been playing it. Did you attempt to romance yourself?
Of course. You have to, of course. I well, I didn't just attempt. I actually succeeded.
Oh.
Yeah, I succeeded, and and do you know what? I was shocked because and a lot of people are like, why are you so shocked? Like, don't you remember recording these lines? Yes, I remember recording the lines, but I have never seen it in the context of the game, in the context of the cinematics, in the context of like nudity,
Mm.
um and in the context of interacting with the other characters. So for me, like, my reactions are quite because I haven't seen it, and so it's very cool for me to see that. So yes, I have embarked on a romance with Lae'zel. It's going pretty well. um yeah, we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens.
Oh, I wish you the best of luck with making that happen.
Oh, well, thank you. Yes.
And that leads very well into the next question. What's it like to see your voice and your movement attached to a game character?
Ah, very cool. It's yeah, kind of weird, I suppose, in the first instance, because you're so used to seeing yourself, your face and your voice, and then it's like your voice and your movement, but it's not your face or your body or your it's a green Githyanki speaking like me. So it's kind of weird, but it's so cool. It's just cool seeing her placed in the world. It's cool seeing her speak with the music behind. I mean, the music of this game is just incredible. So seeing all these scenes with the music, seeing her speak with the other characters and have them speak back and have this full conversation that I know I recorded in isolation, and so did the other actors. And then seeing it play out as a two-sided conversation and seeing it so smooth, and it just flows so well. And a few people have commented on the fact that it just sounds like we've recorded it together, but we haven't. So that was it's just incredibly rewarding. It's been 4 and a bit years. So to see it materialize the way it has is really, it's just rewarding and incredible.
Yes, that's quite a long journey, and with that
It
taking so
is.
many years, would this be a character you'd like to return to if, circumstances like expansions or something would turn up?
I'd love to. I'd love to do a Lae'zel prequel because she talks so much about Kresh Kalir and about her growing up and the way she was trained, the things that she had to do, the way her culture is. And I think it's so different and so alien and so interesting and fascinating, brutal in many ways, that it would be really interesting to have a prequel, a Githyanki spin-off prequel. I'd love that.
A little bit more of an in-depth sort of discovery and deep dive into your character, because there are lots of
Yeah,
historic bits kind of mentioned.
yeah.
So, what are your thoughts on D&D and role-playing type games in general?
I mean, again, I'm
You
haven't
are
had
new, right?
much
So, yeah.
experience. I'm very brand new to it. We did a D&D one-shot campaign back in September with the whole cast.
Mm.
And that was really, really cool. It was my first time playing tabletop Dungeons and Dragons, and I loved the role-playing aspect. I mean, as an actor, it's fantastic. It's basically just improv and having fun with other people who are also really into just getting into a character, doing the voice, the physicality, and also again that whole thing of like the sky's the limit. You can literally do anything, and more often than not, the DM will be like, okay, yeah, you can do that, and then obviously you have the constraints of the character sheet, but it's pretty free and pretty open. So I enjoyed that a lot. I didn't enjoy the combat so much.
Yep.
And the combat in Baldur's Gate 3 I also struggle with, just because I think yeah, I'm brand new to it. I don't really know the mechanics of how it works. I'm still like fumbling my way through it. But the role playing part of it I really love.
What are some other characters that viewers might know you from? And as just kind of a quick read, could you give us a taste of Battlefield 2042's op calm voice?
I think that was kind of like Russian, a Russian very hard voice. Probably shouting instructions like to the left, go, I don't know, something like that. I don't really remember, to be honest, because it was quite a small role, but it was something like that. Um, so yeah, you might have heard me in that, although you probably, I don't know, it's very tiny. I don't even know which part I'm in. I've tried to find my bit, but I
I think
honestly
I've
can't find
heard the
it.
voice.
Um, Probably, yes. You can also see me as Nika Yankovic in Cyberpunk 2042, the expansion Phantom Liberty. I'm the English dub of Nerl in Nerl the Radiant Knight in Arc Knights. Um, what else? A few things. I mean, a lot of things coming out next year that I can't really talk about, but yeah. But a few things. A few things.
That's some interesting roles. I've actually done a lot of
Yeah.
cyberpunk interviews on the channel, actually.
Have you?
Yeah, if people want to watch those.
Go
Anyways.
and watch them.
Oh,
Click here. Click here.
exactly. Would you mind giving the audience a brief line or taste of Lae'zel in action?
Yeah. Is there something you have in mind?
Not specifically, but I mean, maybe something a little. I don't know. Now that I'm getting it directly, I'm like, oh, maybe something violent. But now I'm kind of like the way we were talking throughout that you like some of the sweeter moments. Could you give us maybe a little softer line?
Yes. Wait, let me think of the actually one of my favorite lines in it. Okay. I hope I don't butcher this because I don't remember it exactly, but it was something like, I lived for the red of blood and the black of death. Now I see the colors between.
Excellent. Absolutely excellent. Thank you.
Classic Lae'zel.
Yeah, no, that you absolutely nailed it, which is expected. Lastly, I would like to leave a spot for you to say something or go over anything I might have missed during the interview.
Oh, ooh, that gives me a lot of freedom. Um, not that I can think of. Well, okay, no. All I will say is give Lae'zel a chance. That's all I'm saying in my interviews. Actually, give Lae'zel a chance because a lot of people actually have, and they're like, oh, I really hated her at the beginning, but then I saw the interview with her actor, and she was like, give Lae'zel a chance, and I did give Lae'zel a chance, and she was awesome. So give Lae'zel a chance. She will be rewarded. Um, yeah, you will be rewarded. And also, you know what? Playing the game, because everyone's like, oh, she's so rude, she's so abrasive at the beginning. Maybe it's because I recorded her. But now I'm playing the game, I'm like, she's not that rude. She's just kind of straightforward and straight down the line, and she's very determined and mission driven. But yeah, I would just encourage everyone to try it, play out her story, see what happens. I think gaining her trust and her loyalty might be tricky, but once you do, you will be very rewarded. Very rewarded.
As part of that, it's also like a spot if you wanted to plug anything.
Do I want to plug? Well, I do have things to plug, but I can't talk about them. Other than that, you can watch me on Twitch, Devora Wilde, stumbling my way through Baldur's Gate 3. It's chaotic and hilarious. You can catch me on TikTok, Twitter, Instagram. Yeah, that's about it, really.
All right, thank you.